It seems like looking at a cartoon character, though.
Well, the hair, certainly, but who am I to make comment? But I'm going to start off with a serious question, because you are a professional musician. You don't only perform, you write, you know about words, you know about music. There aren't that many songs, singles, that fit into that criteria of being so good, so popular, touching such a chord, that they last that long.
Right.
Do you have any grasp as an artist what the magic formula is?
I mean, I wish I did.
Yeah, I'll bet.
I would redo the formula. And, I mean, honestly, obviously that's something I've had 30 years to think about. I think there's something to say about the self-empowerment message in the song itself. You know, I am the one and only, nobody I'd rather be. I think people relate to that, and I've had many people come up to me over the years and said, you know, it's helped them through their lives to kind of, you know, face their fears and believe in themselves, and,
yes.
and perhaps the lyrical content has something to do with that.
There's also the durability of performance, and again, anyone who watches this programme knows that I'm a huge Rolling Stones fan.
Oh, you are?
And it, you know, 60 years, and they're just about to start touring again. It's not only about writing songs that touch a chord, it's about having something that means that folk who, when that was first shown, were teeny boppers, are still coming back to see you live.
Yeah, absolutely. And I still, nowadays they're all, you know, mums with kids, and I have that relatability myself, because I'm, you know, I'm not a mum, but I'm a dad with kids, and you know, also my father was in the Tremolos, so I've seen all of that, you know, as a child come through.
This is where I beat myself up, because I love popular. I did not know that. Brian Poole and the Tremolos.
Yes, yeah.
What did Dad play?
Dad was actually the lead singer after. Well, he joined when Brian Poole was in the band, and then Brian left, and Dad stepped forward as the lead singer and bass player. So, yeah.
Oh, so it was in the genes. It was inevitable.
Yeah, I mean, my upbringing was very rock and roll, Alastair. you know, my dad's friends were 60s superstars like Jerry Marsden and Dave Dozy, Beaky, Mick and Titch were Uncle Dave and Uncle Dozy, you know. So yeah, guitars propped up in every corner.
How extraordinary. I mean, all my interviews notes have now just gone out.
They've just gone, yeah, let's talk Tremolos.
This is a different era, because what your dad and those people that you've just mentioned are describing perfectly was really a turning point in popular music.
Oh, they were pioneers.
You'd had the Beatles and the Mersey Beat. This was a new lot who were coming in saying, we'll have some of that.
Yeah, totally, yeah. I guess the Beatles kind of, you know, started the change of musicality change in popular music. And then, as you said, like bands like the Marmalade, Herman's Hermits, the Tremolos, they came along, and of course all the American bands too. And they started, it's actually, for me, they were the pioneers of popular music. Beatles started it.
The other interesting thing, you say Herman's Hermits as almost a throw line, of course, that the lead singer went on to become an actor and made a very successful career in that respect. You stuck to the trade.
I did, but it's funny you should mention it, because I started as an actor because I was in a
child
film.
Actor.
Well, yeah, I was young. I was 17 when I got the part in Buddy's song with Roger Daltrey, and that's what gave me my big break. But really, the only reason I wanted to do that film is because I knew that there was a potential record deal at the end of it. So, and that was, you know, in those days, that was how you made it. It was like you had you tried to get the elusive record deal, you know. So I thought it was my in.
And that was what, obviously, you knew a lot of people in the business, whereas nowadays, if it was you, you'd be hoping to go on the X Factor or Britain's Got Talent and hope to be spotted by Simon and signed up to something.
Well, I guess
it was a different world in that respect as well, wasn't it? I mean, it was Huey Green and Opportunity Knocked, which is slightly different.
Exactly. I mean, I did do a show called Sky Search for a Star back then when I was like 15 or something like that. So they've always been around. As you say, Huey Green, and then it was Keith Chegwin that was promoting that one. And yeah, so it's all, that side of things has always been there. But for me, it was always about playing live, you know, and being noticed in that way, you know, and of course writing songs.
Yes.
So those are the two most important things. I sometimes work with, as you say, I write songs and have mentored young artists and worked with young artists, and it's one of the things that my dad, Roger Daltrey, people I've toured with like Bryan Adams and Huey Lewis always said to me, never come off the road. Yeah. Just keep playing around. And I think one of the reasons that you were asking about the longevity of the record and my career, I think that's why I'm sitting here talking to you now.
Sure.
Because I've been out there and I've paid my dues on the road,
And that, I told you, I give you license to wave it.
It's waved.
That's the new album. But that's going back over the years, that stuff that you've done that's been successful, as well as new stuff?
Yeah, well, basically, it's a box set of all of my albums from 1991 to 2012, and it's like a walk down memory lane for me, really. I kind of went back in, and it includes all of the albums as they were recorded and released, but also lots of little rarities, old demos and things. And I went back to.
But when you must sense it, because again, the Stones get criticised for it because everyone's, oh yeah, okay, fine. So Keith did a new album and Mick's done a bit on his own. But just do Satisfaction, Jumping Jack.
Of course.
Do you sense that when you stand up there and you're trying new stuff out on them and playing it live, and there they are sitting saying, yeah, okay, fine, just get on with
just
the
get on with the hit, will you? Yeah, I mean, listen, I am. It depends on what kind of gig I'm doing. If I'm playing an acoustic gig or something where it's all my fans come in, I get other songs requested, of course. But yes, people want to hear the one and only, and I do understand that a lot of people out there, your viewers, will really only know me for that one song. But that's the great thing about being able to put something like this together.
Yeah, totally. How this segues beautifully to the whole conversation, because you nodded towards it earlier on. How tough was the COVID, the 2 years and the lockdowns, for Chesney Hawkes, not only as an artist and a writer and performer, but also as a husband and a dad?
Well, funnily enough, for me, I actually really loved the time of just getting off the train and just spending time with my family, board games, dinners with the kids, taking the dogs for a walk. I do that when I'm home, but I'm very, because I live in Los Angeles, so I'm back and forth so much that I spend a lot of time away. So I actually really, really loved the time. Financially, it wasn't great, and I missed being on stage and seeing the crowds. I did a few online gigs. But generally, that time off is something that would never have happened if it wasn't for what was going on in the world. Obviously, I wouldn't want to bring that back.
No.
But you have to try and find the good in things, don't you?
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting. You mentioned earlier as well about collaboration and mentoring. I listened to a brilliant interview with Elton John, who used a lot of the lockdown period. There was an album at the end of it, inevitably, but collaborating and working with rising stars, new artists.
Yeah.
And the point he made is that you actually learn as an established artist yourself from these bright young things,
of course,
who are the new you.
Of course, I always, because I do work with a lot of young artists, up-and-coming artists, and I always say, any time I have a co-writing session with anyone, you learn something. You hope that they learn something from you and you learn something from them. I mean, he's absolutely right.
You just have to be very careful about copyright these days with Ed Sheeran.
Yes,
that's my melody, not yours. The other point, to round it off, is that I know and love your industry well enough to know that the business model, if you have a new album, whether it's greatest hits or brand new stuff, has to be paralleled with live tours. That's what promotes it. That's how people get to hear it. Are you match fit?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I came straight... When I first came back into playing live, it was like, ooh, what is this thing around my neck? How do we do this again?
And who are all those people out there?
But what was wonderful about it, I actually was quite shocked at myself at how emotional I was when I walked on stage. Because there's actual people there and they were actually here to see me and enjoying live music. And there's that kind of beautiful crowd mentality of like, yes,
Can you see eyeballs and smiles?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. And absolutely loving being on stage again. It's really wonderful.
Well, we wish you well. It's a real pleasure to meet you. When the team said, we've got... And I said, great, yeah.
Oh, that's good.
But to go through the Tremolos and Brian Poole and your dad and Dave D, Dozy, Beaky, Mick and Titch. I never thought I'd say that on GBNews. I have now said it. Chesney, a real honour.
Thank you so much for having me.
I wish you all the success in the world and love to the family as well.
I will do.
Thank you very much indeed.